The wedding banners are dropping on the 18th of May, and we have got two new Umas and two support cards dropping with it. The two Umas are Wedding Curren and Wedding Fine Motion. The support cards are Wedding Haru Urara Power card and dictus Stamina card. Let's take a look at all of them and see if any of these are worth your carrots. Alright, let's start with Curren the wedding version. If you know anything about the original version of Curren, you already know that she is a sprint distance specialist, and this wedding version is no different. Her aptitude spread is A on sprint, D on mile, and everything else is G aptitude. She is kinda heavily locked into the sprint and mile distance aptitude. The same with her OG version. Her stat bonus is 10% on speed, 10% on power, and 10% on width, which is a really solid spread. Honestly, very good for a pace chaser. She naturally leans toward the pace chaser even though she has B aptitude on front due to how her unique works. And with that, let's discuss about her unique one true color. The activation condition is when there is 350 meters remaining in the race and she is in the second to fourth position. The last condition is that she also needs to be in front of another Uma. When this unique pops, she gets a speed bonus and an acceleration bonus for 5 seconds duration. What's really broken about this unique is that because the activation condition for this unique is mostly when it's nearing the last spurt of the race, you simply get speed and acceleration carry over easily into the final spurt. Where, as we all know, in sprint distance, you want as much acceleration as possible to be the first to the finish line. She also gets Sprint Turbo as her Awakening Gold skill, which is another great acceleration skill source for the sprint distance. She also have some pretty decent speed skill like Pace Chaser Corner and a gold speed debuff skill called Adored by All for the sprint distance. The overall verdict for the Wedding Karn-chan, well, just straight out she is the star of this banner, and you should know that going in, mostly you would likely pull on this banner because you want the Wedding Karn-chan. Looking at the JB server itself, she is actually still relevant and used in the current meta for the sprint CMs. If we take a look at the Japanese game with tier list, you can clearly see that she is still holding the SS tier position for the sprint distance course, which is insane for a 4-year-old Uma in the game. If you are a sprint CM tryhard or you want a strong pace chaser for the sprint distance, she is definitely worth picking up. However, if you do not really care about the sprint CMs or sprint race course in general, you can just skip this banner. Moving to the other Uma alongside Karan-chan is the Wedding Fine Motion. Unlike Karan-chan, Fine Motion here has much more flexible aptitude spread, which is A on mile, A on medium, and C on long. So she can work across a wider range of distance, which is nice. She leans heavily toward the pace chaser style. As you all know, even from her support cards, she is a natural born pace chaser. Her stats bonus are 10% on guts and 20% on wit. Not a really nice stat spread bonus. Her unique is called the best day ever and it has two activation condition. This unique itself activates when you step on the final corner. If she is currently on the second to fourth position, this unique will basically just activate. However, there is another condition for this activation. If there is 400 meters left in the race, she will get an acceleration boost alongside the normal speed boost. This means that on a longer distance racetrack, Wedding Fine Motion is just simply stronger because you will get the acceleration boost from her unique if there's 400 meters left when you activate her unique. This unique itself is most effective on the mile and longer race courses. On shorter tracks, like for example 1200 meter sprint distance, the condition for the acceleration actually cannot be met, so the acceleration part does not activate at all, making it pretty much just a speed skill from the unique itself. Well, we can already see from her distance aptitude itself, but this is just something worthy to be pointed out. From her awakening skill, she gets neck and neck, which is the upgraded gambling exertion skill from head on. So she has another source of exertion skill which is really great in her kit. To complement this, she also have a pretty good speed skills and a gold speed skills like changing gear in her kit. One important thing to keep in mind is that you cannot run the SSR Fine Motion support card when training with this Uma. The Uma itself cannot be the same with the cards in the deck, so you're kind of missing one of the best with cards in the game for the Pace Chaser. This is a real drawback when running Fine Motion herself. The overall conclusion for Wedding Fine Motion is that she is a decent mall and medium pace chaser. She is not a bad Uma and definitely one of the stronger options in the current meta. The unique works very good for mall CMs, and she has a solid skill kit in general. Of course, if she is your Oshi, then definitely just go for it. Given that both of the Uma in this banner is really strong and cute in their wedding banner outfit, it's a really tough choice for the banner itself. However, I would say if you care about the sprint distance, I think this is one of the best banner you should roll for, specifically for the wedding Kanchan. Otherwise, you can just completely skip this banner. Alright, let's talk about the wedding support cards. First up is the wedding Haru Urara power card. This card has a pretty unique gimmick where instead of giving you strong training clicks, the whole design is built around Hint's event. The card has a 40% hint frequency bonus, and bonus gives you extra stats on every hint event, specifically plus 4 on stamina, plus 12 on power, and plus 2 skill point every time you click this card with a hint proc. So the idea is that you will click on training with this card with the red exclamation mark constantly and stack those free stats that way. This card is also one of the highest skill point bonus card currently in the game with 2 skill point bonus per training. Mind you, even in the current JP server, most of the meta cards only have 2 skill point bonus at max. The problem is that the training performance is generally average for a premium SSR card. The friendship bonus is only 20%, paired with 30% mood effect and 10% training effectiveness is nothing crazy at all. The gold skill from this card is also pretty bad. The gold skill that comes from this card is called Hard Worker and is a late surger acceleration skill. On paper, it sounds fine, but the activation condition of this skill is pretty bad and it almost does nothing. In the context of an actual CM, this skill is pretty much a trap. It will activate at a useless timing and give you nothing in return. The card itself has no hint skills either, so you are not getting any skill hints out of it. In the Trackblazer scenario specifically, this scenario punishes you heavily for clicking too many trainings because we all know by this point you want to be racing for the coins and items instead. That means you are not going to be training enough to consistently proc those hidden event anyway for these stats. So the whole core gimmick of this card falls apart in the Trackblazer scenario itself. The only salvaging thing about this card is mostly the chain event. This card, much like the Cuts Haru Urara card, gives you a lot of energy on the event chain and the possibility of charming event from the first event chain. In total, this card gives you 90 energy, which is crazy. This card is honestly a skip card. The concept is creative, but the execution does not work really well in the Trackblazer scenario. You're way better off borrowing a proper power card, or just using Nishino Flower power card or Marvelous Sunday for your power slot if you need a power card. Now, the last card on this banner, which is the Wedding Ikuno Dictus Stamina card. The unique bonus on this card is a training effectiveness boost that scales with how high the total bond of all your support cards. At half bond levels, you are looking at around 10% training effectiveness, and if you hit max bonds across all your card, it goes up to 20%. So it rewards you for building bonds fast across the whole deck. The standard training bonus from this card is also really solid. 30% friendship bonus and 30% mood effect, which gives you decent training clicks when she lands on the stamina click and will technically anywhere because of her high training effectiveness. Looking at the card skills and gold skill, it's super clear that this card is scattered heavily toward the late surger style Umas. Every skills of the card is a late surger skill that comes at level 4 hint, which is nice. The gold skill from this card is called Keep Going and is a middle race speed skill specifically for the late surger, which gives you a crazy 4.5% speed boost. The catch is that it comes with a stamina drain debuff of 2% on activation. Now, 2% stamina drain is actually quite significant. If you put it into stamina terms, this is roughly 80 stamina you need to cover in extra for this skill itself. However, if you do have the stamina to cover it, the speed value from this skill is generally strong. The total effect output actually beats the natural gold speed skill, and the activation condition, which is the best part of the skill, has no position requirement, so it's definitely easier to trigger consistently compared to the other middle race speed skills. The honest verdict on the Wedding Ignodictus card is This card is specially designed for more of the will players that like to play the late surger style. It is a definitely nice card, but seeing that it's a stamina card itself, it may be a little bit of a drawback as it's quite hard to fit a stamina card in the deck unless you're making an Uma for the medium distance or a long distance track anyways. And even then, you would likely want a gold recovery skills from the cards, like Swinging Maestro, from cards like Super Creep. I think the support card banner at the end of the day is still a skip. So, to wrap it all up, the only real reason to pull on these wedding banners is for the Uma, which is Wedding Karn-chan if you are serious about the Sprint CMs. She is legitimately quite strong and has held up even in the current JP server. If any of these Pumas are your Oshi, then obviously just pull from them. But purely from a meta value perspective, Karn-chan is the only one that justifies the carrots. Alright, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.